Good evening. I'm glad you can make it. We are on lesson 7. We've covered 7 different topics already. We've spent most of our time still in the opening, but one overarching lesson that we keep carrying all the way through is free candy, right? We want to make sure that we stop giving away free candy, and that's just a measure of how aware we are of what's going on around us. And that's something we need to practice, we need to focus on. Just like any other thing that you want to improve, you need to focus on it, and then you should improve. So keep focused on free candy. Try not to give any away and try to take it when it's offered. All right. So we are in the opening and we are talking about how do we think through our moves? What are we thinking about while our opponent's moving? What do we think about when it's our turn to move? And we said the first thing when our opponent finishes moving is our first thought before we start going into what we had planned to do, we should try to figure out why our opponent made the move they made. Just a general rule, we need to do that. By the way, all of these principles I'm giving you are general principles for beginners. And the idea is to get you to be strong enough that we can move on to more advanced items. So I'm trying to break it down and give you a way to look at the game that will help you improve the fastest and with a very strong foundation. So these are general principles, and the rule is when you get better, you can break all of these principles, you can break all of these rules because you'll know what they mean, why you do them, what they stand for, and you're breaking them knowingly. So mostly what we want to do is not break any rules unknowingly. Same thing with free candy. You can leave free candy on the board if you do it knowingly. You can offer free candy, a sacrifice, if you do it knowingly. We're all about not doing things in a way that we don't realize that we're doing it or that it's unknowingly. All right? So, what are we looking at? We are looking at why did he do that? And in the opening, am I developed? Is my opponent developed? Can I develop faster than them? It's a race. I want to win that race. That's our major thing in the opening is to win the development race. Development includes getting our king to safety, normally behind 3 unmoved pawns with a minor piece, bishop or knight, hanging around. We try to put our pieces into the best squares possible every time so that we don't have to move them more than once and slow down and lose tempo and lose ground and start losing the race. Liken it to being in the Indy 500. If you start moving pawns too much, it's like you're going in for a pit stop to change your tires after one lap. Bad idea, you'll fall behind. We're going to chase the queen or the king when we get a chance, especially if we can chase him with a purpose. If we can chase him to gain material, if we can chase him to develop our pieces while we're chasing the queen or king, we're going to do that. And now we're up to the 7th, and we did this last lesson, 6th lesson. We're looking for tactics. Tactics and targets, but we're going to start with tactics. And we spent all last week talking about the power of the pin. And the pin can be a very powerful tactic, easy to find. Every piece except for the knight and the king can pin a piece. So, well, pawns probably can't pin a piece either. But when we're talking pieces, we're normally talking minor and major pieces. So the bishop can pin a piece, the rook can pin a piece, and the queen can pin a piece. So that's a lot of opportunities, a lot of pieces that can do a pin. Tonight, we are going to introduce the concept of the discovered attack, what I kind of believe is one of the most powerful attacks possible, or powerful tactics possible in chess. It's hard for beginners to notice, one, the opportunity to use it, two, when it's being used against them. So we're going to cover tonight, maybe early, I don't know, couldn't decide. It was between that and double attacks, forks, attacking multiple pieces at one time. I opted to go with discovered attack, and the reason I opted to go with discovered attack is it reminded me of something quite specific, and and I like to do bishops then knights, right? So I'm going to put this out here. And what it reminded me of is this is a pin. We talked about this last week. This knight, if it moves, and it can legally move, you would lose the queen. Now, there are times when you're happy to move it. Let's say we get into, I believe it's this. Yeah, let's say we go here and we give away free candy on purpose, and we're giving away free candy on purpose, and let's say black takes the queen. It says yummy, yummy, yummy. We get a check. Can't go here, the knight's hitting it. Has to go here, and then we get checkmate. I lied. The knight's here. So we would have, I was trying to remember the correct setup, and that is not the right setup because the knight would just take us off. So this knight is obviously not supposed to be there for this technique, for this checkmate. So my bad. So let's say we did that knight, then we're better shape, right? Then we take, we get the check, he steps up, we get checkmate. Because this knight holds that square, attacks here, this knight attacks here, holding the bishop, and the bishop attacks here. All right, so pins are great. Pins are great, but there are times when you can give it away. But the point to all this was that if the knight goes away, the queen is in danger. You don't normally want to give away a queen for the bishop, except for when you have these rare occasions when you have a checkmate planned, right? Okay. We're talking general principles most of the time. There's this thing called the absolute pin, which means you are pinning a piece to the king. Now, this knight cannot legally move whatsoever. So that's an absolute pin. It cannot move. It is illegal for it to move. It is not really protecting any squares. The only thing that can't go here safely would be a king. But the queen, you could put your queen here because the knight can't take you off. You can put your queen here. The knight can't take you off. It is illegal. All right. So what is a discovered attack? A discovered attack to me, it's great because just think if this were a white piece, if this were a white knight. So you are, in essence, pinning your own knight, right, to the enemy's powerful piece, but it's not pinned. And where black can't move this piece, white, if it was a white knight, would be happy to move that piece with tempo because he'd take the queen, he could take the pawn, he could take the pawn. And when he takes anything, when he moves anywhere, there's a check discovered, a discovered attack. So a discovered attack is, and this is why I decided to do it right after the pin, it's like you are pinning your own piece to your enemy's piece. And the longer range that pin is, that discovered attack is going to be, the better, the harder it is for a beginner to see it. So let's look at a real game and see if that holds true. So this is a game I played the other day. I think we're still playing it. Doesn't really matter. It was a training game. So it's just a casual game. We're playing it, teaching, learning how to play. And we see that we have a nice, very standard, everybody's developing their pieces carefully, knights then bishops, and we get a pin. And there's our favorite pin. We know that's going to happen. There we go. That knight is under attack. Can't move the knight without losing our queen. All right, so we get the pin in early, and the question to the bishop is put before the knight comes in, right? We don't want a second piece. We've talked about this all last week. We don't want to allow a second piece. We could have also put the bishop here to keep the knight out. And if white doubles our pawns, the pawn would still keep the knight out. So we just don't want to allow a second piece doubling up on the knight. So we put the question to the bishop first. All right, now we're reserving pushing this pawn because it would totally destroy a king's side. Not crazy about this move already, but we were provoked because we don't want the double attack. So, okay. We decide to go off, and black decides, I'm going to pin also. So now that knight is pinned. And if you notice, this game is very symmetrical. Look, and now we get another move that looks just like the other move. Question is put to the bishop. So the bishop leaves. We're going to get to the fun part quickly. So now look at this. This is a totally symmetrical position. White is moving first, though, so white gets the chance to break the symmetry first, and white goes for it. White says, I'm going all the way, bishop. You're in trouble. And it's safe because my bishop is here to, clog up the king's side. I don't have to worry about that. I'm attacking. All right. So white attacks. Black says, I'm out of here. I'm not sacrificing a piece for 2 pawns yet. I'm going to back up and play safe. Black backs up. White comes in and says, hey, now I got my double attack. Now what's interesting is the same way that white can go back, black is now thinking, you know what? I'll take back with my pawn, and I'm going to have an alley towards your king. That's far thinking, right? That I'm going to allow myself to have double pawns, and we know double pawns in general is a weakness, something to be avoided. But black saying, I'm going to allow double pawns with the hope that I'm going to get this rook over here later. So black does nothing to dissuade that attack. And instead, he launches a counterattack against this bishop because this bishop can't get away. Bishop goes here, we could trade it. Black could trade it. The bishop goes here, we get a fork, and we're still going to trade it. If white decides to fork, remember it's held by the knight. If white decides to fork, black could just take first, right? And it'll be a trade anyway. So every way looked at, black figures, I'm getting this bishop off the board. My knight wasn't doing too much. I don't like that bishop hitting on this. I want to get rid of the bishop. All right, so black's plan is get rid of the bishop, and white's plan should be to double up these pawns and open up the king. And white doesn't go for that yet. White says, I'm going to develop my queen. Okay. Might have been better here. Definitely would have been better here. And the reason it would have been better here is it would have been attacking this pawn, a nice long open diagonal. Also, simultaneously attacking the knight. So the knight would probably take, pawn would take back, and then if black is not careful, when this knight gets taken, he can't take with the pawn. Well, he can. He will take back with the pawn, but then the queen that, remember, was here, this would be a free candy. So this is a defender, and it's defending 2 pieces. And if we can take it off of defending this piece, and we're attacking that piece, it's free candy. That's a different tactic we're going to cover later, removing the defender. Also, overworked pieces. This pawn can become overworked if this pawn was under attack. But as it stands at this moment, we're okay. White decided to go with, instead of the black diagonal, which I think would have been better, more scope. Look at that, more areas to hit. He went on white where there was a lot of things in his way. And the things that are in his way are his own pieces. So he's not aggressively attacking anything, and his pieces are in his own way. So that may come into play later. All right, so black says, you know what? I can get this bishop anytime. I could take that bishop anytime now. I'm not going to trade yet. I'm going to see about if I can get the knight to go away. Because if the knight goes away without doubling up my pawns, I'm okay too. I'm quite happy with that, because then I'm going to double up white's pawns when I take that bishop. But white says, no, 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 no. I was here for a purpose. I'm going to double up your pawns. And now you see this move wouldn't have worked if white was here. Well, it couldn't have worked anyway. Well, it could have worked because the queen would have been protecting the knight. But this would have won white this pawn and would have been very scary with the queen sitting here coming in towards my king, or towards black's king. All right, so black takes though, because this pawn is not at risk. There's no real risk. And now there's doubled pawns, and these 2 pawns are both attacking this black square. So these white squares are extremely weak. But white doesn't have a knight in the right place to get into one of those squares, and black has kept his bishop handy to keep things out of those squares. So right now, these 2 pawns are weak. They're not protected by another pawn and can never be protected by, well, this one could be if it got all the way up to here, but right now they're not protected by another pawn. So they are weak pawns. Weak pawns. Good targets for white, and black is looking for targets over here. That one's weak, and he's trying to get on this file for later. All right, pressing on. White doesn't do anything about, say, I would have said drop the bishop back here. So on the trade, you double those pawns instead of doubling these pawns. But white has a nice plan that if black takes, white takes back, and look at that. We're opening up our rook towards the queen. Now, there's nothing free, it's protected, but that queen might become overworked pretty quick, right? And white is figuring he could pile up on that pawn and life is going to be good because he's going to have a pawn over here. This is going to be really hard. Oh, it's looking good. I think white is figuring this is the way to go, better way to go, get on this file, threatening a lot of mayhem. So black actually doesn't like that. Black says, I don't want to open up that file. So instead, black attacks with a pawn. Says, no, 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 no. I'll open up the file if you give it to me for a pawn, but I'm not opening it up for my knight, for a fair trade. I don't want it for a fair trade. So white has to step back, didn't really have any place else to go unless he really was going to be daring and open up the board. And then black says, great, now I'll take it off because this pawn is still blocking that rook. All right, I promised you we'd get to a discovered attack, and we will, but it takes time sometimes for them to happen. Discovered attacks are not nearly as common as pins. All right, king comes up to protect the pawn. Why? So the queen can leave. So the queen can go where? To a better diagonal. White should have taken the better diagonal. Black wants to get on a better diagonal where he can attack on the white squares. Because look, his pawns are on black squares, most of them. So he doesn't want to be on black squares. He doesn't want to move here or here, or even here, which that's not bad, but it is protected so many times. It's ridiculous. But this would be a move I could see people making, figuring, oh, I'm attacking this, I'm attacking here, but everything is really, really, really protected. And white has no white bishop. We just took it off for a knight. Now, black has no knights, but white has no white bishop. So therefore, white is a great square for the queen because he knows that there will never be a bishop attacking him on that diagonal. All right, anyway, that's his plan. White changes plan, says, okay, that's blocked. I'm going to go all the way over here. Now, white could have tried to open it up other ways, or even here, could have tried other ways. This wouldn't be good yet. 2 against 2. The rook was there. But, right, he could have pushed here first and then tried to push there. But he decided to go over here to the open file. Not the best plan, but it was a plan. Pawn gets pushed, says, no, 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 I'm not going to let your rook in here. So now your rook has almost no place to go. And, we always try to get that pawn to become something more important. But, he's got 2 pawns in his way. But this is a nice, easy way to get it developed by 2 pieces and limit that rook's scope. So now the rook only has 1 square on this file. So now he's poorly placed. He has no place to go on this file. So he's not in the greatest position. Now we get the pawn and looking for this pawn push. And black just says, I don't care. I'm fully developed now also. I get my queen off the back rank. All right, going well. Now what, right? Where do we go from here? We get the attack in the center, and black says, I got to take. I cannot allow you to take my bishop. I don't even like you taking the pawn, right? I just don't like it. I want to be the aggressor. I'm going to take. And white takes back, and black says, fine. Now, what black had a long time thinking, should I stay on this diagonal, or do I want to try to take this diagonal? And for multiple reasons, but black decided he'll try this diagonal, keeping black's queen a little bit stymied. Maybe the knight doesn't get as much scope, and the bishop is still coming back this way when he needs to, and he blocks this pawn. That's another major consideration. Blockading pawns is another tactic. It's more of a positional consideration than a tactics are normally attacking, aggressive play. Positional considerations are pawn structures and blockading pieces and putting pieces on the perfect square, not necessarily that it's doing any attacking, but it's on its optimal square. Remember the queen I said would have been on a more optimal square on dark squares. So that would have been a more positional consideration, while it also had tactical considerations mixed in. All right, pressing on. We get a break in the center. Maybe not the safest time to do a break in the center, but we get a break in the center. Might have liked it maybe if the rook came over first, but see now this, you can't double up on this file, so that's a little problematic. Black does what can happen a lot of times. A lot of times as beginners, we don't think about it. We only think, oh, he's going to take back, or he's going to stay there and I could take him. But pawns don't have to trade. Pawns can push. And in this case, the idea was to push because this was the idea altogether with this queen here anyway, right? I mean, that's the number one idea. We put the queen here. is to attack along this diagonal. So if he pushes, which he did, by pushing, we get to start that attack sooner. If he hadn't pushed, black was going to push anyway. So now it's just like, well, okay, you've kind of forced my hand. I want to push anyway. I'm going to push. White finds a nice positional move, says, I'm going to put this bishop deep in your heart and just take away all of these squares from any of your pieces except this bishop, which is locked out anyway. So no rooks, no queens, no kings are going to be sitting on these squares, or I'm going to win an exchange at the least. At the least. Nice move. Good. Maybe not a hard move to find, but I know a lot of beginners would have pushed this pawn. A lot of beginners would have taken this pawn, and worse, they might have taken this pawn and allowed the queen to come up. But instead, White calmly said, I'm coming after your king, buddy. It's all mine, and which is an excellent play. All right, moving, and Black says it's check. I'm not going to come back here. Why? I'm not coming back here with my king because, one, I need to protect the pawn. Remember, that pawn could have still been under attack at any time. Two, I want to get my rook here. So while this is a good move for White, Black was okay with that move because this was his plan all along. So he's happy with that. White is aggressive. White says, I'm coming in. Now I've got two pieces attacking the pawn. There's two pieces protecting, so there's no free candy. But I also have a knight attacking your bishop, and you have two pieces protecting it. But I can push this pawn soon, and my queen is freed. So maybe White's thinking, this is aggressive. I'm getting my knight into the fray, into the game. There might have been better ways to do that, maybe pushing this pawn, attacking here. And then if the pawn were to make the mistake of taking, the knight would have taken back, right? I mean, that would have been fine. Push, take, knight take back with check. He's looking really good. So if he had pushed, Black could not afford the take. That would just be losing. So he probably would have had to push the pawn. And then we're still not feeling good about our game. And then this move is still possible. And the difference would be there'd be a black pawn and a white pawn. And that would have been so much safer for White. Solid, controlling, doing damage. Would have loved it. Would have loved it. All right. So the pawn push in that case would have worked. So Black says, well, I'm going to put my rook where I wanted it. You didn't push here, which is good for Black because he's scared of that move. Maybe Black should have taken right away and try to free this up and keep that pawn from pushing, but he didn't. Then White makes a gigantic mistake. And the gigantic mistake is he now has created the situation we're looking for this whole lesson, the discovered attack. That bishop is in the way of a check. So if this were a white bishop, it would be pinned, and we would take it with the pawn probably. If the white bishop were here, and this bishop were not here, it would be pinned. But because it's a black bishop, it is no longer a pin, it is a discovered attack, which was actually created by White. Now Black is trying to create a discovered attack. And the next move, Black would take here, could take back, and then the queen could take. Because if then the queen takes back, we still finally have a discovered attack on the queen. So that could happen. Not that that's the best move again, because of too many factors, like you'd still lose a rook for the queen, for the rook for the queen, where he only lost a pawn. So yeah, that wouldn't be great. But this is what we've been looking for, and White gives it to Black. And so now Black has a discovered attack. And again, if you're not paying attention or listening or watching or being aware, you might say, oh, great, I'll take back, right? You took, I'll take back. And when I take back with check. So that's good, right? I take back and I get the pawn for free because you're in check. But where else? This bishop can go anywhere it wants and say check. And it is blessed because it only has two squares to choose from. That bishop only has these two squares to choose from. If he takes here, granted, free candy, gets the candy, and then the next move can take this free candy, even if the king steps up. Even if the king steps up, he could get this free candy. right? So you could get 2 pawns, or you can move here. 2 candidate moves, because you're under attack by a pawn. It's pretty much 2 candidate moves. We're not going to look too much deeper. And you can say, well, yeah, he goes there, then what? He attacks the queen. So black goes here, and you notice it's a check. The king lights up. And what happens a lot of times when you're a beginner, you're like, hey, the bishop moved, and you're trying to think about what you want to do, and you're trying to move your queen, and you realize your king is lit up, and you're like, wow, how'd that happen? And so black might not even realize, and black goes, oh, wow, look, the king lit up. Oh, it's in check. That's what I was talking about when I said it's a long range. Pretty much as far as you can go. It's right 6 squares away, 8 squares total. Furthest distance you can be, and you have a discovered attack. So it's really hard to see when you're first starting out, getting better. Hey, Murph, how are you? Oh man, so yeah, Twitch. You couldn't access through Twitch directly. Oh, okay. Um, I hope it's nothing wrong with my side that Twitch isn't. I hope something's just generally wrong with Twitch. That would be sad if people can't get in. But I'm glad you got in through Lichess, and I'm glad you can chat through Lichess. I was going to actually ask that question because I didn't know if people could chat through Lichess. Hey, KCL Dad, welcome back. All right. Oh, you couldn't do it through Twitch either? Oh my goodness, what is going on? And I've been having trouble with my computer the last couple of streams, but I thought I had that fixed. We actually got to do a lesson online with MA Live, and then now I thought I had it fixed for today, and Lichess was acting up. It wouldn't let me even go to a study. Murph, the study you asked me to look at, I couldn't even do it. Ah, Keith, that's who you are. Awesome. Okay. Lichess has a link to Twitch, so you went through there and you're now on Twitch. Okay. So still pretty interesting. Hopefully there's not a problem with getting onto it through Twitch itself. Don't know what to do about it if there is at the moment. Okay, let's see if we can finish this lesson, and I will have to look into that tomorrow and see if I can improve that before Wednesday's stream. Anyway, so back to teaching. That's why we're here. We want to teach. That's really all I want to do. So anyway, bishop attacks the queen, and so now the queen gives itself up, right? Because he couldn't take the bishop because he's still in check, but he can block. So at least he gets a bishop or a rook for the queen. But this is the power of a discovered attack. That bishop can go anywhere it wants, and when you get the opportunity for a discovered attack, keep looking deeply to find the best place to put that piece that gets to move for free. Find the best place. Don't put it right next to the king if it's a discovered check where they just take off your piece, right? Find the best square for that piece. It can go anywhere in the world it wants. Find the best square. So on this move, white could have blocked this way, white could have blocked this way, white could have blocked this way. None of those would have stopped anything. The queen would still be hanging, and then that other piece would still be pinned and be gone. So we went from a discovered attack to the queen voluntarily pinning itself to the king. And yes, the queen can be pinned because the king is more valuable than the queen. So we are pinning the king in that instance. All right, so what happens? Oh, the game goes on and it trades down pretty quick. Oh, and we get here, just as a side note, look, the knight's under attack, but it's protected by the bishop. But white has to notice that the bishop is protecting it, and you're in check. So what's the best move for white? Well, either here or here, right? To move over. Well, you can't move anyplace else. And what white did was, not realizing, I think, that the bishop was protecting the knight, he thought, well, I can save my knight. But it doesn't save the knight, of course, because it's pinned. And now black has 2 pieces hitting it, piling up. What do we do when we have a pinned piece? We pile up on it. White moves, which means now it has to be taken now. You don't have forever to take advantage of a pinned piece. So we want to take it right away. So we do. it gets taken. And then trading is bad if you're behind. If we look at the game right now, black is way ahead, right? So there's two rooks, bishop against bishop. Black is now up a full queen, and we won't even count pawns. So black is up a full queen. White needs to keep as many pieces on the board as possible to try to cause as much havoc as possible and hopefully win back some material or maybe get a pawn to the end to become a queen. But you can't afford to trade material. In this case, all the rooks are gone. And so now it's a queen and a bishop against a bishop. So it's still a full queen, but now you don't have any rooks to help you. Now, white was open and stuck on the side, so I can definitely understand the situation. So this game should end easily and not be a problem moving forward, but as we saw, there was a discovered attack, extremely powerful, won a queen because of it. All right, let's look at another game. And this one actually, Murph, it's one of your games we're going to look at. So let's look at that game that Murph had. And you guys got me now. I'm like, what can we do to see about getting on Twitch? I'm going to I think I will send a quick message to one of my students. You guys all know him. And I will see if I can get him to try to get on Twitch here and see if he can get on Twitch. That might be a way to do it. Okay, if I can get my phone, computer, anything else to work, and I can't, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, let's get back to the stream. So this game, I have no idea. This is a game that Murph actually played. He's online here. Hey, LNP, can you go and did you get on through Lichess or did you get on through Twitch? Because I was just trying to text you to ask you. All right, while he looks into that, I'm going to, Murph's in the house. All right, I'm going to go over this game, but Murph played. I have no idea if we're going to find an opportunity for a discovered attack. Like I said, oh, good. Okay, so it's working for some. So hopefully it's not me. Hopefully it's you, Murph, and Keith. But anyway, we're going to look and see if we can find a discovered attack. Now, we're going to look for pins. We're going to look for free candy. We're going to look for all the things that are on that list right up here. But at the same time, we're focusing on opportunities for discovered attacks. So it might not be an actual discovered attack, but maybe it's an opportunity we could have set up a discovered attack. They are not as common as pins. They're not as common, I believe, as even the opportunities for a double attack, because double attacks happen all over the place, especially with queens. A queen could be here attacking this way and way over here. So queens are really good for double attacks. Knights, definitely really good for double attacks. Pawns even get into the act with forks. But there might be, I think there's many opportunities for double attacks, many opportunities for pins. There are fewer opportunities for discovered attacks, and they are so powerful, you would think, yeah, that hopefully it is a lower amount, because otherwise, right, bad things might happen a lot. We would be in trouble a lot, or we'd win a lot because of it. So Murph's opponent is playing the Sicilian, and we'll see if Murph just stuck to my rules of only moving center pawns. By the way, quite normal way to play the Sicilian against the Sicilian as white is to trade this pawn. And that's normal, that's book, that's theory. But again, that's later, when you get later and you want to study openings. And the reason I say that is right now you wouldn't do it. Although it'd be a trade, you wouldn't do it because one, you'd move your knight twice. Two, you'd be trading a center pawn for non-center or wing pawn. And in general, that's a rule we try not to do. We think center pawns are more valuable than wing pawns, so we wouldn't want that trade. And that'd be great. If Murph plays with that concept, it's fine. So he does trade the center for the wing pawn, but that's fine, right? No problems, just fine. Murph didn't trade, which is good too. And now we have a semi-open file, and you see the difference that Murph's missing a center pawn. So in general, I would have rather him keep the center pawn, but it's okay. Tax a pawn, free pawn candy. Now Murph says, take my candy, please. And he's got ideas for a tax maybe, but he just gave away free candy. Now, we know that in the case of this kind of free candy, that we've looked at this before, that we get to attack here, and we're double attacking here. And more importantly, maybe we're attacking here. So this would be interesting because I believe black really has only one answer, and that's to go here. And so white can take here and get into interesting situations. White could just castle and try to get another piece on it. It's going to be a wild and woolly game. Don't know if Murph anticipated all that, but he has to realize that his opponent's last move, remember, why did he do this move? That's free candy right now. And Murph ignored the free candy. I don't know if Murph knew all these variations he might get into, or if he just missed the fact that he was leaving free candy. But at least he developed a piece. Even if he gives up the pawn, we just say to ourselves, we gambited or sacrificed the pawn for development. Because that knight moved twice, we're just going to keep developing, and Murph could still be great, be way ahead if he just keeps developing. So no worries. But black doesn't take the free candy, and he develops. And Murph castles. Now remember, he could have developed here to keep the free candy too. Might have been better. Does black see the free candy? Black still doesn't want the free candy. It's amazing. Black is like, I'm not going to take that free candy. I don't care how long you offer me that pawn. So I told you we were going to always go over those basics. So we're going to point out the free candy has been sitting here for a while because both players seem to have missed it. By the way, Murph is playing. This is a slower game. It's a 1 day per move. The slowest you can go is 1 day per move before you lose on time. And at this rating, our intrepid hero Murph is over 1,700. In fact, he's almost 1,800 rated. And that's without a question mark. Murph, great job. Because Murph at the faster time limits is down in the 1,1500s, right? But at this limit, he's nearly 1,800. I mean, seriously, he's 5 points away, 1,795. His opponent at this game is 1861. All right, and so we see this pawn move. Good or bad? Bad, right? This is a bad pawn move because even with pushing at the bishop, it takes 2 moves to do what? To make the bishop decide to go to a better square. Maybe to go here and protect the pawn that's hanging. Maybe go here, protecting the pawn backwards and getting a nice diagonal. We're going to entice this bishop to go to a better square while it's no longer free candy. Murph finally protects, so it's not free candy. But still, why are we chasing this bishop around instead of developing our bishop? So this bishop should have been the primary move that we wanted, was to get this bishop developed. And he could have even developed the queen first if he wanted to somewhere. But, the center pawn. The center pawn wants to move, wants to get out of the way. But in any case, Murph is aggressive. Murph says, you don't develop, then I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you have not developed and give you that free candy again. Yeah, I'm not too sure what Murph's thinking here because that is free candy. And the knight, while it hits interesting looking squares, there are no actual risky squares for black. If I'm black, I'm taking the free candy, right? Always take the free candy if you don't see the genius behind the move. And I think that's just free candy. But black missed it for the first 3 moves of the game or so when he never took that free candy, and so maybe he won't take it again. Sure enough, he wastes move time again. So now we have 2 tempo wasting moves from an 1861. And this is why I believe every one of you are going to have no problem getting to 12, 13, 1400, even at blitz, because all you need for blitz to get up to 12, 13, 1400 is not give away free candy. And we've only had 1 risk of free candy this whole game, and I think neither one noticed it. But only 1, and it's only a pawn. Most beginners are giving away free candies in buckets. I mean, we're giving away knights and bishops and queens. That's when you're going to be under 1,000, when you're giving away pieces, not pawns. If you're only giving away pawns, you're probably over 1,000, maybe 1,100. If you're giving away nothing, you're going to get up to 1,400, 1,500 pretty quick. All right, so Murph develops here. I'm not crazy about the location. I do like the idea of getting a queen here, maybe sacking over here. And there wasn't many squares for that bishop to go to. So I understand going here. I might have liked something else first, maybe the rook here to protect them. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. It doesn't have to double up the pawns because the knight could take back. Knights do take backwards. But even if the knight takes back, this pawn is still hanging. It's driving me crazy. That free pawn is still there. And black finally says, I've had enough of this. I'm taking the free candy. The free candy is mine. I've let it sit there. I missed it for like 3 different times. I took the free candy. Okay. Oh, remind me, what are we looking for? Discovered attacks. I don't see any yet. I don't even see opportunities for them, except, if this pawn were to move, right? If this pawn were to move, that knight can move and it would be a discovered check. So this is what we're talking about, the alignment of your own pieces pointing somewhere. There's something in the way. If that knight moves, we could get a discovered attack on the pawn. Unfortunately, it's well protected at the moment. All right, I told you I don't know if we're going to find a discovered attack in this game, but let's go on. Knight repositions. Okay. It's threatening it as free candy, and then this would be free candy because knight's protecting the bishop, but we'll see what happens. Just trades off. So nicely taken back with the queen. And so now we have a battery. We're looking at possibilities of sacrificing here, and this is free candy. So black probably has to do something about the free candy, but boy, I really like that opportunity too. And black must have liked or disliked that opportunity as much, and he decided he's going to take. So if white were to take back with the queen or with the pawn, we would have opportunities to set up a discovered attack. Is it really free since the queen can take it back? Which one, Murph? Which one is free over here? Or do you mean if he took? I meant this bishop. I meant the black bishop was free for a moment, right? The white bishop was attacking the black bishop, and the black bishop was free candy. There was nothing protecting it. Oh, the pawn earlier? Which one? This one? Because that one is, the queen's not protecting it yet, right? Yeah, Nietzsche's lost it. So is it really free since the queen can take it back? Which one are we talking? Oh, that one? Yeah, no, the queen's not protecting that one. Oh, at the start it was. At the start, the queen was protecting this pawn. I don't think it ever was protecting that pawn because the queen hasn't moved yet. So the queen can't protect that pawn. Move 7 or so. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go all the way back to move 7 or so. Like here? Free candy? Let me see. Let's see. So at this point, boom, boom, and as soon as this knight comes out, free candy. Oh, could take back by coming here. Gotcha. Okay, so you're saying, yeah, that if the knight had taken, that you could have went here and double attacked. This would have been attacked, but that's why I said no. It is free. It's not free candy because of that. But if the knight takes, it could be dangerous because now we get a discovered attack. Right? We get a not discovered attack. We get a pin. So now the knight can't move. So now you have to do something maybe to try to protect the knight. But if you protect the knight, we're going to push on the knight, and we have 2 pieces attacking the knight. So it's going to be lost. So it really was free candy because this move doesn't really win back the pawn because it's going to be creating all this dynamics. So yeah, there was a lot of dynamics. I mean, we can keep going with the story behind it too, because the queen almost has to take, right? If the knight takes, you get a pin back. But it's not a good pin because you can get this check. Ha ha! And if you take, or even if you take with the queen, we get the rook. So it's just very complicated. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it is free candy. I don't think you guys want to be calculating all of those possibilities to decide if that's free candy. That's something you want to analyze after the game on your own time and then say, okay, next time I know I can do that. It's just a little leery, a little scary. All right, so we were down to here. All right, so here, interestingly enough, white could have taken this way, and yes, he would have had an isolated pawn, but it would have freed the rook. And remember, the bishop is trying to get there. So that might have been very interesting. Also, he could have taken with the queen. This knight doesn't have any direct attacks to bother you with. And if you take with the queen can slide over and maybe get some attacks because I'm still always looking at this discovered attack. In fact, that discovered attack is so annoying. Black's probably going to do something like chase the bishop away and then try to trade off the bishops. That's how annoying that can be. But yeah, I think very interesting would have been the pawn take. That would have been so very interesting. And if we knew we were going to do the pawn take, maybe the queen here instead of here, so that when we take back, the queen still has an open diagonal too. But this was just thinking about, can I get a discovered attack going? This would be the way to do it, is you want to pile up on that pawn before the knight moves. So then it's a discovered pile up on that pawn. But anyway, white took the knight, attacked the bishop. The bishop came all the way back. Again, the bishop could have went here, maybe a better diagonal, but this is definitely totally safe. Oh, not totally safe. The knight can come here to still try to trade off the bishop. If he went here, the knight could have went there. So I kind of liked it better. My gut says I like it better here. I understand not going here, because then this almost forces a trade. Doesn't quite. Bishop could still say, no, 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 I don't want to trade. And I'll move your rook out of the way, and then I'll chase your knight out of the way, and I'm not trading my nice bishop. So white can find ways to keep that bishop. He could have went here and same tactic, right? Same thing. And now, though, because the knight's here, he could have said, well, I'll just block. And white can decide, do I want to trade a bishop for a knight? I can live with it, then go with it. But anyway, we digress from the purpose of trying to find a discovered attack. Puts the question trades, a lot of trades, so there's not much material here. This is a pin. Now, if that was a white piece like a knight, we could have a discovered attack, but he piles up. He go ahead and gets his second defender, so we can't take the free candy and create a discovered attack. And now we get a threat here. Okay, if the queen were to take, this pawn move would be a discovered attack. Hey, we might be able to get one still. Nope, Murph first protects the pawn. Again, if he had given up the pawn for whatever reason, like maybe taking this one since he had two pieces on it, he might have said, you can have that one, I'll take that one. Maybe. Okay, rook comes over because that was free candy for a second, but so was this one. So Murph just decided not to trade free candy for each other, piling up on the pawn, and we get a push. All right, we get a take, and the knight comes down and says, I'm going to attack again. By the way, the knight could have went here, which may have been, again, more dynamic. So think about it. The knight could go here to attack the pawn. This square is already, right, not really needed. But if the knight goes here and does the same thing, attack the pawn backwards, it's also threatening to come here with check, and it's threatening both of these pawns for later, right? Think about it, later grief. The queen can come here. So just by picking between the passive and the aggressive, both of them attacking the pawn, I think white would have been better taking the aggressive tact coming up here. By the way, if the knight had come there as its aggressive attack, black could have said, ha, discovered attack on the knight. We would have had a discovered attack. I'm really trying to find discovered attacks. But anyway, the pawn would push. And, you know, if white is not paying attention, says, oh, I got to take the pawn and attack the queen, I got to take the pawn, he would have lost the knight. Now, there's a lot of in-between moves. He could just take the pawn and lose this pawn, right? Pawn for pawn. He can go here and say check. King has to move, and then he could take the pawn, but then his knight could be pinned to his queen. So there's still a lot of dynamics going on. Just fun stuff. Okay. Whoa. Definitely didn't mean to do that. We jumped way ahead. All right. Get back to where we were. A lot of trades. Knight comes down, and we get the seemingly like a devastating fork. But it's only protected once, so this is just a mistake. It's a free pawn. It's a free pawn because we have 1, 2, 3 pieces. Murph has 3. There's only 1 protect in it. That's a free pawn. So it didn't free up anything. It just gave itself away. It just gave itself away. So again, Murph could take with the queen. Not that it's better or worse at this point. He would be attacking the square though, so that rook couldn't come over, because then his opponent would lose a rook. Nicety for Murph, he's here. He actually kind of sneakily, I don't know if he noticed that when he did it, but he keeps the queen out of here. So my penchant to be aggressive Murph's defensive natural instincts also stopping the pawn. But remember, I was trying to find a discovered attack. But I really like this now that I look at it more. Murph's move was very good. But yeah, here I would take with the queen because then there's no rook move here. Next move could be here with the knight. We could just see what happens. But I'm thinking I like Murph's position with the queen here, not with the rook off the back rank. The rook off the back rank really doesn't seem to do him any good. It's not doubling up. You're not creating a battery. A battery is a queen and a rook in the same line or a queen and a bishop on the same diagonal. So there's no battery created by taking with the rook. And the back rank is suspect, although the knight right now and the queen are doing a good job of holding everything. The back rank is liable to become suspect. Queen comes back. Nah, not really attacking anything too devastating. But the queen was doing absolutely nothing here and had no squares that were worth going to any place. So this is definitely a repositioning of the queen. And Murph makes Luft for his king. Interestingly enough, the Luft is covered by the queen at the exact moment, but that's okay because there's no risk of the rook coming out here and bothering white yet. We double up on the knight. So there's two pieces now. This is the battery that I wanted Murph to create, but black created the battery first. Black also has Luft for this move that was bad when he did it because it was too early, but now this is the right time. Murph does it at the right time, creating Luft, so he's better off. But here we are, we have a battery. He can also create a battery with the bishop and the queen. So he can have a double battery going on at the same time, rook and queen and bishop and queen batteries. That would be sweet. But right now, he's just attacking the knight twice. By the way, the knight can move here and protect that pawn as well as that square. So the only thing queen would be doing is coming here, and the king could just say, I don't care, I'll just go away. Well, let's see what happens. All right, so Murph says, your queen is there. We're going to skewer your queen because I'm protected. So your queen's going to move, and then that rook is going to be under attack, but it is protected. It is protected, so there's no risk of him losing material, but Murph is able to trade off if he wanted to trade off. So we talked about candidate moves a couple of times. What's the difference of discovered attack? The definition of a discovered attack is when you move a piece that is not attacking a specific piece or square. We might as well start thinking about attacking squares instead of pieces already. So if you move a piece that is itself not attacking a square, allowing a piece that's behind it to be uncovered and attack that square. So you move a piece out of the way and the other piece ends up attacking the square. So in essence, you could think of it as when he moves this queen, that rook will have an uncovered attack on this rook. It's not what we call a discovered attack because it's protected and actually he's threatened. So it's not like he's voluntarily getting out of the way for the attack. He's getting out of the way because he doesn't want to lose the queen for the rook. But that's the definition. So it's like a pin, but it's your own piece that you're pinning so that when you move your piece, because you can, you will have the benefit of having a free attack. Thanks. Great question, Keith. Great question. So black looks like he's still looking down here because that way, the check wouldn't win be a checkmate. But after he says check here, he gets to win that pawn. So black is being aggressive, looking for opportunities, and says, if white doesn't play well, I can get this check, and that's a forced win of a pawn, maybe. Not really. It doesn't have to be. The knight can come back and block, and therefore the queen would have a discovered protection of the pawn. Anyway, Murph does not trade rooks yet. He says, let's trade queens too. He says, let's trade everything. At this point, black should be calculating if he takes, right? If he takes, and even if Murph takes with the knight, not messing up his pawns, and then he takes here and he takes here, who's better off? Whose pawns would be better? These two pawns or the connected pawns? And black should say, well, if I think I'm better with my connected pawns, I make these trades. If I think I'm not better with these connected pawns, I don't make these trades. Also, by taking here, he gives white the opportunity to make a really big blunder, of course, by taking with the rook. If you were to take with the rook, then the knight is free. But unlikely to happen. Okay, so black moves back. Couldn't go here because of the pawn, couldn't go here. White could just trade. He seems to be still trying to sneakily get a double attack here for a checkmate. And so he's thinking, well, I'll just back up. And then maybe he's thinking he'll go here. Or maybe he'll even try going here. Who knows? But why else? You have to ask yourself again, why did he move here? Now, if he takes here, Murph just takes with the queen, and the queen protects the knight. So everything is still okay. But I think black was just looking for ways to try to get this queen aligned with that pawn. So let's see if I'm right. So white attacks the queen. If the queen backs here, making it look like, oh, no, don't take my queen, and then he moves back here so that he can win the pawn, then I'm right. Now, black does have a double attack. Black could come here and say, check, and then the queen has to come back and protect because of this pawn. And then after the queen comes here, it'll be scary for black. So he's got all these problems still because now he's doubled up and his queen can't come back here. So not a good idea. That check would not be a good idea. So he does go back though, just looking for the checkmate. And Murph says, no. I say check first. That's an in-between move. I told you that's the most dangerous thing to do. When you see that you're under attack, the most dangerous out of the 4 ways to get out of an attack is to attack something else. But the exception is if it's a check, because the check has to be answered first. So you don't have to worry about them doing an in-between move of their own. So we get the check. Either black lets the rook stay for free and moves his king, hoping that white still doesn't see the checkmate. This would be playing for a trick or a trap. A bad idea, an extremely bad idea. To move up here and say, hey, maybe white won't see that I got checkmate, next move. And so he does that and leaves the rook, right? Like maybe move really fast, like, oh, maybe, but it's a 1-day move correspondence game. That's not going to happen. So black says, no, I'm not going to play tricky. And I don't want to play tricks that if they don't work, we just lose the game. And that trick, if it didn't work, and white and black just said, no, okay, I got to protect this rook, or better yet, just trade off queens, or yeah, it could be really bad, right? All right. So interesting enough, though, you probably could have gotten away with something by doing it, because white would have to still move that rook or find a way to stop checkmate and move the rook. But anyway, we get a take, and Murph finds a beautiful double attack. Not a discovered attack, but a double attack. A beautiful double attack, winning another piece. So he wins the bishop, and now we get the check. By the way, Murph is also threatening to put his queen right here, protected by the knight, and force the queen trade when he would have a knight and his opponent would have nothing to fight him with, except for the king. But, of course, black says, well, now I'll get that check in and win a pawn. And he does. And now white goes for this anyway. I like it. I like it a lot. Goes and gets this check. And he's got to worry because he might have 2 passed pawns coming against him. But let's see what happens. He moves away, and Murph protects the pawn. Nice. No worries. Nice. And the game goes on. So I doubt we're going to find a discovered attack with only 2 pieces left on the board. So we will go through pretty quick and just see if there was any opportunity for a discovered attack. Don't think so. No, I don't think so. Don't think so. I would have liked it if Murph hadn't given up that knight somehow, but hey, it is what it is. And this is endgame play. And Murph has been working on his endgame play for a while, and we are going to definitely do lessons on endgames. As soon as we get through the opening, I think we're going to even skip the middle game, do some lessons on endgames. Because endgames are so critical when you're here. Right now, Murph should be able to say, do I have a draw? Because Murph has no chance to win. White has no chance to win. It's impossible to win, except by the clock, which it's still impossible to win because he has no checkmateable material. So it's going to be a draw, even if the clock ran out. But Murph has to know if it's a draw. And Murph does know it's a draw, and he knows how to force the draw. And so he does. So he stays in front of the pawn. And if he can't stay in front of the pawn, he takes the opposition, stays in front of the pawn, takes the opposition, stays in front of the pawn, stays in front of the pawn, takes the opposition, stays in front of the pawn, and it's a draw. Good job, Murph. Good game. Very good, very good, very good. All right, any questions about discovered attacks? We saw some possibilities that we could have tried to set up a discovered attack. There were none in the actual game, which is fine. I said it's not as common, but there are times when you could try to set them up. And you definitely want to, when your opponent hands them to you, you want to jump at them, right? You want to say, yep, maybe he'll take that and I'll get my discovered attack going. So very, very powerful. We're going to look through, I'm going to go find some games before Wednesday that, yeah, Murph is. I agree, Irv. I'm going to look for some games where there are discovered attacks in it, and I'll be looking through your games. And so hopefully we can find some, and that'll be great. Hey, Janet. So the greatest of all time. So Murph is at least, he's going to go famous in my streams for all time and in my heart, because we had the name of Move after him, because it was not easy to get Murph to stop doing the Murphing of a bishop. I've seen now Murphs of bishops using queens, bishops, knights, it doesn't matter. People are Murphing their bishops with multiple pieces, and that means just blocking in one of those center pawns and not allowing the bishops to go. We seem to have a nice turnout tonight. If you guys want, I'm trying to get better at this, and somebody told me they thought it might be a nice idea. I created a team, and the team is called For Live Stream. So you guys can go on Lichess. Every one of you go on Lichess, search for the team For Live Stream. And if you go there and do that, I will admit you to the team. And then right now we can have a quick tournament. Maybe we'll play 5-0 games. And all I want you to do in these games is avoid free candy, take free candy when it's offered, develop your pieces as fast as you can, get your king safety, and then look for pins and discovered attacks. Pins and discovered attacks. Pins and discovered attacks. If you look for all those, we can learn from it. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to try to put in the chat for you guys. So you can just follow that link, and I will admit you to the team. And then you can go 4 or 4, 4, 4, 4 or 4 what? Keith? I'm not sure what you mean by 4 or 4. Oh, 4, sorry. F-O-R. 4. I was like, what does 4 does he mean? 4 live stream. So yeah, if you get into the live stream, I will set up a quick tournament for you guys so you can play and I can commentate, and maybe we'll find 2 or 3 discovered attacks in these 5-minute games, because we'll just make them quick games and no increment, just so they'll go faster. We'll call the tournament For Live Stream. Looking for pins and discovered attacks, which are like a pin, but using your own piece. And let's see, no starting position, and we're going to start it in 5. I'll give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes should be enough, right? Everybody agree 3 minutes is good enough if you want to play in it? You don't have to, of course. It's just there for you. All right, we get it going. I will end up being listed in the tournament to start, but I will not play. I will back out as soon as you guys join in. And you got 255. All right, I got a request to join the team. Let's get that person into the team. Keith, you're in. Anybody else that's online that would like to play? All you have to do is follow that link, and it just needs to be in Lichess. Go to that tournament. And we have less than 2 minutes. Having trouble getting onto the internet. Oh, no. That's always a problem. Thankfully, I don't have that problem today, because that would be really bad. So we have 3 people in there. We have Murph and Chris. That's awesome. I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to let you guys play. I want to watch you guys and learn from each other. And Chris, see, you're 12, 14 here. I don't know what you want, chess, chess.com. I'm wondering if Lichess is, MA thought it might be a little bit softer, or it just gives a little bit higher rankings, more inflated ratings than chess.com. It doesn't really matter, but all right, let's go to Ooh, watching games live might be fun. We're not quite there yet, but we will be. So waiting for some games to start. So Murph's in, awesome. Irv's in. We're going to just play some 5-minute games. I don't remember how long I made it for. Let's see. 45 minutes. Good. Not too long. Oh, okay. And Chris, you see, those ratings seem odd because I watch you, I watch MA play, and I think you guys are as strong as, 1200s even in Lee chess. So I was happy when I saw you guys playing. I was like, these guys are pretty good. They just, I mean, I think you guys can use some help. Yay. Because I love helping. But, if you were like IMs, I'd be watching you to learn. I like watching you because then I can learn how to help you get better. But yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know why the ratings a little bit different. The two systems are different, but they're two different sites, so that makes sense. All right, we've got 44 seconds. Anyone else joining in? We got 4 though. That's good. I like 4 at least. 4 is nice because especially in this kind of a tournament, which is a arena, it's a whole lot nicer when you have more players. So anybody that joins Lee Chess, it's free, totally free, always free. You get all of the capabilities, all of the analysis, unlimited studies, unlimited number of everything, nothing you ever pay for to get anything more. Now you can donate to them. Don't get me wrong. You could donate to them just like you could donate to streamers, but you could donate to, and some of us like their viewpoint so much that we went ahead and we donate enough money to be a life member if you want. So let's bring up the top game, and it's Chris against LLNP. All right, so we're gonna just watch that game while the other games go on. So yes, anyone else that's online watching, if you go to Lee Chess, join the Lee Chess, just create an account, it's free, and then visit us, go to For Live Stream, that link that I put in the chat, and you could join this tournament and play. Again, you don't have to, you can watch with me. So let's see what we got going here. So I can draw on this, by the way, and they won't see. So that's a nicety. I can even back up and say, let's look at the beginning of this game and see how it went. So I know LLMP and Chris, I've played them both. Chris only twice, but LLMP I've played a ton. And I know he's not good at fast speeds, but if he's playing by the general principles we're pushing, he should be able to play at a faster speed. He just sometimes gets bogged down trying to think of the perfect move, the best move every time. And so we all do sometimes. We all suffer from that type of malady. So hopefully he will just stay focused and play fast and hard. All right, so this is new. I'm trying it out where you guys get to play after I introduce the concept and go over it. It'll be more fun, and it's more fun for me to watch you guys play. And so discovered attacks, again, are not common. They're going to be harder to find. So we see that you start looking for opportunities. If that knight moves, the rook is uncovered. But unfortunately, it's not free yet. But if you look, the bishop's still hitting that square, so there's potential for later goodness, later damage that could be done. So we'll see how that goes. And you can watch games also. You can go to Lee Chess and click on the games in the tournament. I just picked the top game, and I might just keep picking the top. I might pick the 2 different people next time, but we'll see how it goes. So he got out of the pin versus putting the question to the bishop. I'd almost say put the question to the bishop and let the queen take back, and then you would have had, remember that battery, rook, queen that we were talking about. So now imagine if he had put the question to the bishop and the bishop had traded, queen takes back, you'd have rook, queen, and the bishop. Boy, all you have to do is entice that knight to go away, and you'd have some vicious looking attacks going on. So that would have been nice. But we still have the bishop on a nice diagonal with a pin. This pawn that took back and doubled up here, the benefit of the double pawn is that it helps the bishop control that square. And black is saying, let's get that square under control right away. If it's me, I'm putting my queen there. Look at that. I like it when my students think like I do and think fast. But it'd be even better if the queen were not here, because then that knight would be free candy. So bishop has to back up, doesn't really have too many other good choices. If white gets the other rook over and doubles up, then he could take, because that pawn cannot take back because he's pinned. So we'd see the pin in action. Got to be careful. Still has two pieces on that. And by the way, the queen can go right here because the pawn can't move. It's pinned. So hopefully nobody's stream sniping. But anyway, yeah, so he could go here, attacking the, look, he missed it. If he had come all the way up here, he'd be attacking the knight and the pawn. And I'm not sure where he'd go. If the knight goes here, then he could have just taken it off. If the knight went back to where he was and he was sitting here, yeah, then he doesn't have too much to oh, actually, you can still double up. The pawn still can't take. So maybe he'll just go back. He could come here now, but it's not as much fun because he wouldn't be gaining the tempo of attacking the knight. So again, I think he just missed that. He saw this, but he didn't see this. This would have been much better. Pawn would have been pinned, and he would have been attacking the knight. So the knight would have had to make a decision forthwith. That's free candy. That's just not a good move. But Chris has to, and it's hard. When you're playing fast, it is hard. And look, he didn't even take the free candy. Totally free candy, opening up the king, and he didn't take the free candy. That's what happens when you're playing fast. You miss free candy. Totally free candy. That hurts. And he had a lot of time. So you're thinking, hey, you had a lot of time. Why don't you take the free candy? So now he's threatening to take the knight. The knight might come here again and attack the queen. Nope, he decides he's going after this one. So he can take the knight and trade knight for the queen. I mean, knight for the bishop. So he has to decide if he wants to do that. But boy, this free candy right here was painful that he missed. All right, so we're going to get, yep, trade there. And now, do you take, or do you just push and block up that situation? Remember, you could just push. He does not have to take. He does take, and that's fine. This rook has no check. It could come here and attack the pawn, but right now white is probably eyeing the fact that this is free candy. But boy, think about all the fun he could have had. Yep, he found that one, and now that candy's gone, and he's going to try to infiltrate. But exciting game. But unfortunately, if you notice, as I did, there was no discovered attacks whatsoever. We missed, not seeing any discovered attacks. I wanted some. I so badly wanted a discovered attack, but we didn't get one. All right, let's see what white does. And this is where white sometimes bogs down and plays too slow, thinks too much, and needs to just look for obvious attacking opportunities and then go with it, right? So maybe just protect the rook that's now under attack by the king. Coming back to here is fine too. Beautiful, because it blocks the queen from the pawn. So now the pawn is hanging, and then that's threatening checkmate. So white has to give away the queen. And so now it's a queen for two rooks, which a lot of people think the rooks are worth 9. I mean, the rooks are worth 10, and they think the queen is worth 9. So they think that's an equal trade. So we'll see how that pans out. I think it's an equal trade when they're not separated and they could be teamed up together. So right now they're kind of like in the worst situation, I think, as far as being teamed up. And if white can find a way to fork, double attack, then good things will happen for white. And now it looks like black might be getting into trouble being trapped behind enemy lines. But we'll see. Yep, found it. Checkmate. Very nice, very nice. Found the move, found the checkmate. Let's go back to the tournament and see what other games are still going on. Murph and Keith are playing a game still. Let's jump back to the beginning and just see. And we're just looking up. Another move, another checkmate. That game is over also. Let's wait for the next game. They should have another game starting any moment. I didn't see anybody else try to join the team. Let me know if you do try to join and I don't see you, but I can get you into the tournament quite easily. You could join in at any time. They have 37 minutes left. So if you're just joining us, it's on Lichess. If you look back up in the chat, you can find The link, I will put it out there again for anybody that's just joining late. There you go. The link's right there. Hiker, if you want to do that, Janet, you can click on that. You can play. Anyone can play. You could join in, have some fun. And remember, we're looking for discovered attacks, which we didn't see any, but we saw some solid play. I thought we saw a solid play. New games. So we got Murph and Irving. I've watched them a lot. Let's take a quick look at that game. We might hop on over to the other game between, we have Chris and Keith playing. So a lot of these games look alike because my students I've been forcing to do only center pawns. King pawns, E pawns are more dynamic, more fun, more attacking usually. So we see more of those games. So we're seeing a lot of those games, but guess what? They're going to get used to this situation. And if they choose to play a different opening later in life, that's fine. They're going to feel very comfortable with this kind of an opening. All right, so we just watched LLNP win that first game against Chris. It was a good game. And now he's playing Murph. They battle each other a lot already. They both take a class from me, so we'll see how they go. Irving might be, Irvis, LLNP, might be on top after this. One of the things Irv did that I would have done differently is put the bishop here. Well, let's switch. Oh, we can't switch it over, can we? Because we're looking at it from Irving's point of view. Let's look at it from Murph's point of view. Oops. Not what I meant to do. Not what I meant to do. But I think it'll still get me there. So Irv could have come here because of that same trick we talked about before. This pawn didn't have to be hanging at the beginning of the game. At the beginning, now it's much later. But he could have put the bishop here, which was more of the idea of taking away from the center. General rule is take towards the center when you're taking with a pawn. But the idea was that you would open this and you would have the bishop and you'd have more dynamic attacking possibilities. But he put the bishop here, which kind of well, it didn't kind of, it blocked the queen out and it made this bishop act like a tall pawn protecting this pawn. He could have used the rook to protect the pawn instead. He could have used the queen up here later. Should have been more dynamic and put his bishop out here. So Irv missed, LLNP missed the right moves there as far as being aggressive and developing his pieces more dynamically. All right, let's go take a peek at the other game. All right, this one's between Keith and Chris. And Chris is playing black this time, and Keith is white. And I'm happy to see Chris we've been working with not to move non-center pawns. So he's not moving his non-center pawns. He only moved the center pawn so far. Playing dynamic, got a pin on the knight and doubled up on it. Good job, Keith. Nice job. I feel like the lessons are paying off. Good job. Let's see, we got a clean attack on the queen. All he has to do is not blunder the fact his queen is under attack, right? He can move the queen almost anywhere, but he has to be leery. If he pushes the queen here, the knight could take the pawn, attacking the queen, and therefore, hey, I could take that pawn. You take my queen, I take your queen. So the pawn move's a great start. Maybe going too far here, but the pawn move was a great start. He should have doubled up the pawns right away. Should have left the bishop, double up the pawns. Another option, because we didn't want to move here and let the knight take here, would have been, actually it doesn't have too many other good choices. He could have moved the queen over one, but I like this. The f3 is fine. F3 is fine. But he's got to not forget what he's doing over here. And what he's doing over here is supposedly doubling up these pawns and then deciding if he takes with the knight, pawn takes back, bishop gets to go here and attack the rook. And then, like I said, the bishop can go here and attack the rook. And now, though, Chris has done a nice job of repositioning his bishop to be in a position to help protect the king. But we do have this opportunity to just push on through, especially if the bishop comes here and locks this pawn. So this is imperative for this move right here, attacking the rook, blocking this pawn, and then this pawn will be able to come up here, and we talk about, right? Learning. So this one we're going to definitely show Keith later. We'll show Chris too, so they both learn. But think about it. The bishop here. If the rook moves, which it normally will not want to give up a bishop for a rook, that's a 3-4-5. And then immediately afterwards, this pawn comes. This bishop has no place to go. No place to go. You push the pawn, it just gets taken. So it has no place to go. He would have won a bishop. So missed an opportunity. Just like Irving missed an opportunity on the other game of attacking both. Now we get the king move over. And so now if the bishop comes, the rook can come here onto the file, where if he had went there first, the rook had to move away. So this is just bad. Why is this bad? Free candy, sorry. Free candy, which is giving away free candy. And Chris did not miss the free candy. Good job on not missing out on free candy. And we don't want this take for white because that would undouble the pawns. So this was a really good move by Chris. Keith missed that opportunity. But again, we're looking for discovered attacks. There's not many. There's not many. And it is harder to find. I'm going to have to look through games of my students and any of you that want to offer games. If you have a game where you did a discovered attack, please let me know the game. Send me the PGN for it, and we'll use it on Wednesday when we go over examples of discovered attacks. Because they're obviously not as common as pins, and I don't even think they're as common as double attacks. All right, so we get a counter. Well, this was not free candy, so it's not really doing an attack in a result, but Chris is just missing the fact his queen is under attack. Yep, just missed that. Just missed it. Now you can't take here, but that's okay, right? I mean, white can protect this way. So black should have just moved his queen out of the way, but now we get a skewer. We get the queen under attack and the rook, so that's nice. And we're going to lose this rook and maybe the game. Maybe the game. Looking good. So pawn push would have been much simpler, protecting the pawn. Now, white can take here. Yeah, there you go. Takes your queen. Check. You take the rook. Takes back, and you're back to equal. So at least you know. Ah, yeah, that's just a blunder. Yeah, just lost the free candy. So what's the thing I always talk about? You have 4 ways to respond to an attack. The first way is the best way 90% of the time. Take the piece that's attacking. So he should have taken the piece that was attacking. Now, the hard part is he had to notice that he could take it. But you have to search the whole board and see if there's a way to take it. And he did not. He needed to take it. So he did not take it. And he's low on time, though, 15 seconds. So that's part of it, right? You're playing low on time. It's hard trying to find the best moves. All right. Keith is in a little trouble on time and on the pieces now. The other game ended already. So we can go back to watching Keith's game because that's the only game playing. Keith has to move fast. There is no increment. If I made it 5 + 5 or 5 + 3 or 5 + 2, he could possibly survive. But without an increment, he's got to move super fast, and he's not going to have time. A minute 40 versus he's going to run out of time before the game. So there you go. All right, 27 minutes left. They could play a couple more games. And you guys can still join. Anybody coming to the stream late, you can join in and play. The link is in the chat. In fact, it's the last message in the chat. And you just have to go there and ask to join the team. So you try to join the team. I add you to the team, and you can immediately go play in this tournament. So it's still got 27 minutes left. Feel free to join in. That'd be great if you want to. You can play if you want to. This is a song. I know. I don't sing. I like to sing. I'm just not any good at it. If you don't believe me, ask my family. They will gladly tell you that I am terrible at singing. Any new visitors? Thank you for visiting. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, yeah, you had them, Chris. You had them. In fact, I think you won that game. But yeah, you had some interesting moves in there altogether. Oh, Murph, you got to leave. Too bad. And looks like Irv is pausing out. So if you guys are both pausing out, there's only going to be 2 left. And if no one else that's visiting right now wants to play in the tournament, we can stop it if you like. If everybody pauses out, it'll usually stop. I could play, but again, I could play you guys later. And if I'm going to play you, I'd rather do it as a lesson. I could see if we could play you and try to seek out some opportunities for discovered attacks. I could like stress out on trying to do that. Yeah, Murph, we'll see you Thursday. Murph has a chess lesson on Thursday. It's not live streamed. It's just we do it via Zoom. So yeah, Murph, we'll see you Thursday. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for playing. Those are good games. That was fun watching you guys play. Right. If no one else is going to join, we can leave the 25 minutes going there. Again, we're looking for discovered attacks, and yes, they are not easy to find. They take some effort to set them up sometimes, and sometimes you get lucky, people hand them to you, but a lot of times you have to try to see if you can figure out a way to make them happen, and they are powerful once you get them. So if the opportunity lends itself, you want to grab it. Let's go over that game that Irv LLMP missed a really nice opportunity on that first game, which would have been really fun to see. I'm curious how well it would have worked out as far as the long haul on it. So let's see if we can't bring that game up and get to that end part that we think he missed his opportunity. And then if nobody else is playing, we can call it a night. It's already longer than I usually do. I usually do the lessons just for an hour, but we're trying today to try out the other idea of giving an opportunity to play against each other and try out the concept that we're teaching. So we get to here, and so Irv, LMP, if you're watching, if you're not playing a game, you got to remember this pawn is pinned, which is a beautiful thing. And now this pawn is pinned. So that pawn is not protecting here or here. And so right away, we probably want to double up rooks. But our opponent first, Chris, went for an attack against you here. And what I was thinking would have been a really nice move would have been here, because it would have attacked the knight and the pawn. And I wasn't sure what he'd do about it. So he could bring the queen out here if he saw that far. He could say, oh, I can come here and get your queen to trade off. But then I think you could just ignore him and take here with check first. Well, this is really interesting because I see 3 pieces attacking the pawn, and there's only 2 defending, and your queen is attacking the knight. So what do you guys think? This is what I saw during the game. I was thinking, you know, I think this is good. What do you guys think? Am I missing something? Is it black have an easy rebuttal of it? Or is black in deep trouble? Any ideas, guys? I'm thinking he's in trouble. I'm thinking he's in trouble. Obviously, the queen can't go here. Rook would take. Queen could go here. You lose the knight. Free piece. Free piece. Remember, we're threatening a free piece. If the knight says, "Well, I'll just come back," right? I can just come back. I think now you get the tempo of tripling up on that because the pawn still can't take your queen. And I think that's going to be nice. Now, I think you have time to get this kind of move in, though. I think that's probably the only bad news is black can get that move in because, of course, if you take here, you get here. You get a discovered attack, right? That would be a discovered attack. But you need the queen to be here to make it worthwhile. So in this situation, that just blocks the bishop, which means the queen has to leave. And so the queen can come back. And we're still threatening to take the knight. And so I think that's the goodness there. I think that's fine. Pawn takes, that just frees up the bishop, so that's not going to be good. You can go back to this move again, attacking. And now, instead of coming here, then you could do what Irv did in the game, which is come here. But I don't think that's very good either, because we just go back and forth. Actually, no, that's fine. Because if he goes here, then you just say thank you, right? You just take it. you get to just take it. So if you come here this time, you could try doing something like protecting it. And then you could trade off here maybe first and get the bishop to be free, because then it's still pinned and that means this pawn is free. Or you can do things like even slide this rook over and attacking the knight, because the knight, this pawn is pinned again, and so you're threatening to win the knight again. So it's just a lot of options. I think probably taking here is best, and then maybe even saying, okay, so now I'm going to take here if I can. And if he takes here, you don't even have to wait. You do not have to protect. You have to take here first. Remember, we talked about, hey, I'm under attack. Do I have to take, or can I do something else? Well, I could do something else. So you could go here. Because, right, you can't take back. And so if the king moves, that's the only square you could move to. You get to take that pawn, and then the knight falls. Or you can bring the knight back, which is the only way to save the knight. And then we still have checks, right? You could still just say check. Because if he takes, then you could take with the rook, and now you're threatening checkmate. Yeah, I think this game is over. I think that's really what was a little miss that got made. I think the right move, instead of what LLMP did here, instead of here, which attacks the knight, I think he missed the fact that he could have gone all the way here, and I think that's the winning move. So if I were to be making puzzles for him, for his study, for his improvement, I would give him this position as a study, as a problem, right, as a puzzle. But it's made from one of his games for his purpose. This would be a puzzle for him, and the answer we'd want him to find is that one. All right, so why give up the queen, Hiker? At which point? You mean when we do this? We're not giving up the queen because the pawn is pinned. That pawn can't take the queen. I'm not sure if that's what you were at the point you were asking, but there you have it. Let's go back and see if nope, there doesn't seem to be any more games. Tournament is without any games being made up there. Let's see. Still listing all 4 people. No, there is a game. Chris and Irving are at it again. So they probably did not hear any of it, which is good because they need to be playing. So, wow, look, another, oh, and the game ends. As soon as we get here, the game ends. Black checkmates. Nice, nice. Okay, but let's see how we got there. Same kind of opening again. This looks very familiar. Puts the question to the knight, gets to ruin the pawns. Black gave up the rook. How's that? Watch this, guys. He sacrificed the rook, which is probably smart, because if you move the rook over, the queen gets in? Not yet. Not yet. But if that queen can get in, the queen might come all the way here first, but still, the queen needs to get in, because if the queen can get in, it's checkmate. So Black just said, take my rook. And I'm going to play on the open file. Queen comes out, and we get to threaten here. Queen needed to be able to attack this pawn. That would have been better. So maybe better than here would have been to go here with the queen. Take, take, take. Bishop takes. Bishop says, let's trade. Says, I'm not being greedy, but you got to be worried. Yeah, I can take this pawn, but the rook will come over and win this pawn back. So this is one of those, looks like free candy because it's undefended and it is attacked, but it's not truly free candy because of this move. The bishop moves, and then the rook gets to take this pawn. So it's just an interesting problem. So didn't move the bishop, says, no, I have an in-between move. I'll attack your bishop. So that's cool. Bishop comes all the way back and says, you know what? I don't really want that pawn anyway because the bishop just blocked me from getting that pawn. Says, I don't want that pawn. I don't want that pawn. I want to come up here and get an attack. So White did really well, saw that he had an attack for checkmate. Now, by the way, I think it would have been even neater if right here, instead of pushing at the bishop, if White did that move first, White goes here first, Black might think, yeah, I scared him away, and Black might take this pawn without realizing. Might. Just, it's a might. Not saying he would. By the way, Black could also just push this pawn to stop the attack, but White could take, right? Too many pieces. So, okay, so black says, nope, I'm protecting everything. We're good to go. Rook moves away. Needed to maybe block this, right? Gives our home for the bishop to go back, and it keeps the queen from hitting. Because remember, the queen is hitting. And now it's just an immediate checkmate threat. White has to realize, and there's not much else I can do for it, White has to realize that this threat is there for checkmate. Oh, you saw it? You saw it? You still got, I saw that checkmate. How did he get away with it? So the rook lift was bad timing, right? Pawn push again would have just stopped all of it. One pawn push would have stopped all of it. Queen had no place to go. It would have stopped all of it. Now this is still annoying, and it will be for a while, but that pawn push would have stopped all your problems. So yeah. Oh, and look, he missed it, right? Black had checkmate right now. Oh no, he doesn't. Duh, duh. Sorry, guys. Wake up, wake up. Yes, Bishop was holding it all along. So that wasn't a checkmate threat. You didn't miss the checkmate. You were perfectly correct, Chris. But here, you could go here and you'd still stop the checkmate. And you could go here and stop the checkmate, right? And this queen doesn't have any good squares to go to. I mean, he'd have to move someplace. And, or, yeah, he can't, I mean, he doesn't have very many squares to go to. So his queen would have to get out of the way. Then you could trade it, you would have traded rooks and you would have had probably no ill. By the way, at this point, Irv made a nice move to try to get you to take. But again, he could have been forcing you to make a good move, but also, you know, he could have taken here. The checkmate would have still been a threat on the next move. He still had a bishop for a rook, which would have gotten him back his exchange he had lost. So it looks like he did the right thing because it worked, but it didn't have to work, right? I mean, he did this move, and if White had done this, his attack was over, and so it wouldn't have worked. But because White made the mistake of taking, Chris took. Oh, okay, yeah. So right after you move the bishop, you go, oh no. It's that's always bad, always bad. But yeah, so then you got a checkmate. But yeah, Chris, this probably wasn't good anyway because you gave back the exchange. The simple move would have been just to push the pawn. Just push the pawn. You would have been fine. Life is good. Your head material. You'd be winning. Not bad, not bad. Just missed the mate. Just missed the mate. And that's why you never give up, right? I mean, it looked like black is stuck in a corner, cramped in. The rook's going to come over. Life is terrible for black, but he keeps trying, and you just made a tactical error. Rook here first would have ended it all because then you could have traded rooks. Then you could have taken the pawn without any risk, and you would have been quite happy and healthy and fine. All right, good games, guys. Good games. Love watching you guys play. Still not any discovered attacks, but we are seeing a lot of pins, and we're seeing good development. So I'm happy for that. Don't see a lot of free candy, just a little bit. Yeah, yeah. But you know, you aren't going to make these mistakes much more, right? I mean, if you make the mistake, it bothers you, you see it, you learn from it. The next time, you're not going to make that mistake a lot. So that's what we're doing and learning from by playing the games out. So you should don't get frustrated because you are getting better at it. I discovered an attack. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see it? It was right there. Look, look. Knight moved, discovered attack on the queen. We had a discovered attack, guys. Yes, the first one I noticed tonight. Discovered attack. Love it. Look at that. Right here. He set it up. He moved the bishop back, setting up a discovered attack. His opponent moves. He has a free move with the knight. The knight can go anywhere he wants. And the only question is, did he pick the best square? I don't know, but he picked a square. So he got a discovered attack in. Of course, this is why it's a powerful move. It can be the most powerful move, but you know, in this case, he has no place good to go with the knight. If he was able to attack something that wasn't going to be easily protected, he would have been so much better. So he gets the discovered attack, so he has to move. He protects the bishop at the same time, still on a nice diagonal. But we had a discovered attack for a moment. It was there. It was there, folks. I mean, that's what we've been trying to see if we can get. And we got it. It just wasn't as effective because there wasn't any place good for the knight to go. And that happens. And if you're the one that you see the discovered attack is possible against you, you need to see where that piece, the uncovering piece, the piece that pulls back the covers and allows the attack, you've got to see if it has a good move. If it has no good places to go, it has no good attacks, then you don't have to worry about the discovered attack. So, but we did see a discovered attack, which is what we've been trying to see if we can get this whole day. Keith is way down on time. I don't know if he donated time or what, but he's like got 41 seconds to 2. I know that LLMP is not a fast player, so I don't know why K-Love gave him time. Seems like he gave him a gift of time, but it looks like he's giving him back all that time right now. So that's nice of him just to be so polite to give back all that time. Oh, you know what? I'm missing a few moves. Let's see. Oh, yeah, just a few moves. I got stuck on watching where they got to here. So let's see what happens. Trades the knight, gets an attack on the queen, does not protect the pawn, and gets another discovered attack. He's living by the theme. Pushes the pawn, gets a discovered attack. And again, it's probably not worth it this time because with discovered attack, he can't really take here because he loses queen. So he didn't really have a good place to go with his discovered attack again. He pushes, black can ignore him. He's still not going to take. He'd lose his queen. Right? So we see, but we've seen now 2 discovered attacks, same game, same player, and neither one really gave him any big advantage. Neither one gave him a big advantage because neither one, timing-wise, it didn't give him a good effect. So we see here that a discovered attack can be powerful, but the best kind of discovered attack is a discovered check. And there are extenuating circumstances both times. White actually lost a pawn with one of his discovered attacks. And on the next discovered attack, I mean, that was the second one. On the first one, he got nothing really out of it. The queen just stepped away. So right now, the knight could just move away, but he doesn't even have to move the knight because, again, if he takes, he gets to take the queen. But black does have to move because he was running out of time. Let's see. So we got to move in. And the queen got out of the way. So now the knight was being threatened. And so, but, right, the pawn was already taken care of. We can have another discovered attack. Look at that. Pawn can move and discovered attack on the queen. Could have another discovered attack, guys. Another discovered attack. That's another option, another opportunity. And that's just free candy. So, had to move. Should have just moved over the first time, but he was running out of time. Good game. 2 discovered attacks. Hey guys, you guys had 2 discovered attacks we saw. You might have had more. But white had twice he had discovered attacks, but neither one actually gave him any big advantage, except for maybe on the clock. It made it harder for black to find moves. Because of those discovered attacks, you're like, oh wait, I can't just react to the pawn push. I can't react to the bishop or the knight move. I got to react to the fact that there's a discovered attack. That eats up your clock too. But as you saw, it isn't always lead to total domination or wins or even material. It actually lost material on the second discovered attack. So that's pretty interesting. Well, good job. Good job. All right. Let's see if we should have very little time left in the tournament. Yep, only 7 minutes. Probably not even enough time to get another game in. But if you guys do, it'll be Keith and Chris, I would imagine, because you're the only 2 here. Murph did not pause out, but if he logged off all the way, Lichess knows he's not around. So if Chris is still in the house, it probably will give Chris and Keith a game, and it might have already. Let's see. Yes, it has. It just didn't register. All right, last game of the night for this tournament. And let's see if Chris will get revenge. I just say that. I don't know why I say that. I don't think he's played Keith left, so that yet. So no revenge there. But good games, LLMP. Nice job. And you had 2 discovered attacks in the same game. That was immense. Although neither one got you much out of it. One lost a pawn. But it was just fun to watch you find discovered attacks and try to take advantage of them. So this was interesting right there at that point because Keith could have taken this pawn because the knight was not protecting the pawn. It's an absolute pin. So he could have taken the pawn first and then be threatening to double up pawns again, right? And win more material. But he took this way, which still means that's free, but this is one of those, now I can get it back. Well, if he had taken it before he took the traded the knights, then this queen move doesn't do anything for him because then you still take here. You could take with check if you want to, but usually you take with the knight. So Keith missed the fact that he could have taken the free candy the move earlier. Or I should say Chris. That's Chris in black. Sorry, Chris missed that. My bad. My bad. Chris missed that. Chris should have taken there when the knight was pinned. So let's back up just a little bit. So right here, when white takes, Chris could take with the knight, doubling up on the knight. Nothing's protecting it. The knight's not protecting it because it's an absolute pin. So Chris should have taken here, and that would have been a little bit stronger. Okay, so we get the check. He does take the free candy, and we get free candy. That's just free candy, right? You guys see that? That's just free candy. You take, knight takes back, queen takes back. That's free candy. That's 2 attackers, 1 defender. So and Keith gave it away on his own. It wasn't any tricky play. But Chris missed it, went for the queen. And so like you take my queen, I take your queen, but the problem is white doesn't have to take the queen. White should just attack the knight. Let's see what he did. Now he traded queens. He should have just taken, if he had just moved his queen, he would have still been attacking here and attacking here. He would have been looking to win material. All right, free candies. Looks like some serious free candy going on, but okay. And we're at this point in the game. So this pawn is under attack twice. King gets to attack. And but white has many ways to protect it. There, there, there. So white should try to find a way to protect that pawn and not give it away. And he didn't. He just gave it away. So now the pawn is a goner, but he can pin. There he goes. He pinned. So I think last week's lesson has sunk in. I've seen some really good pins. One Irv missed in the very first game where he had a great dynamic play with the queen to g6. And then we've seen pins almost every game be put to good use. Every game I've seen pins be put to good use. So I'm pretty happy about that. That means that we were paying attention last week and we were learning from the pins. So really good job at just getting out of the pin instead of trying to protect it. And it would have just piled up as you see here, and he could have piled up here. So he easily could pile up on the bishop. So it was a good idea to get out of the pin. This does not it might work, but this is where you're attacking a piece rather than moving out of the way or doing something about being attacked. Remember we said you're attacked, you have choices. This is the choice of attacking something else, and it might work because it is attacking the bishop after. So we'll see what happens. If black just takes here, then he's actually doing well because black will be attacking both the bishop and the rook. So white should not have taken here, it looks like. White should have taken maybe with the knight, or maybe white should have just protected the knight. Right? That's one of the benefits. If you do this where you attack something else in return, white could have just protected it. White could have also pinned the rook take, and then you would have taken with check. It would have been a trade, but white's way ahead in that scenario. But now there's 2 pieces attacked at the same time, and the bishop can't come here to protect, but the bishop can come here to protect, but it's getting awkward. Yep, there you go. So now the rook can come here and still attack, so that we're still attacking 2 pieces at the same time. Bishop can even go hide over there, but the knight moves. So let's see what happened. Nope, he took here. So again, better move would have been to move here so that you would be threatening 2 pieces at the same time. It's a double attack. The same double attack he had here, if he moves here, he'd have a double attack still. Double attack using 2 different pieces, attacking two pieces at the same time, not the same piece. That's just a mistake, and it's almost forcing that take. Look, we have a discovered attack, guys. We got a discovered attack. And this one works. Discovered attack. Boom. King moves out of the way. Rook attacks the king with check, protecting the bishop all the way through and winning the rook. Yes, that's a great example of a discovered attack. I don't even know who did it. Oh, it was Keith. I don't even care who did it. I'm just so happy to see the opportunity rear its head. So here at this move, Black has to say, oh my gosh, he has a discovered attack set up on my king. Where can I go? I got to get out of the way. I've got to get out of the way. And let's go to a black square so this bishop can't even check me. I've got to get out of the way. But he didn't get out of the way. He went towards the bishop, still discovered check. The discovered check worked this time. Unlike LLMPs, this discovered attack worked. And now we're down to equal material. But that got back into the game. Back into the game, but it's still equal material. So just so you guys know here, a fine move is here because it takes these three squares away from the rook. Because now the rook can come in here and here. This check is actually not good. That's why. This check is not good because it gets the king to be active. You keep the king blocked in just a general rule. Now the pawn can move, but also we start taking these. So you drop a pawn and you can back if you want, or you can come up. There you go. Be active. Active. You want your piece active in the end game. So now this pawn should probably move. Give away too many pawns, but that's okay. He's running out of time. He's going to keep pushing that pawn. So now if pawns are protected, just keep pushing. Good job. And get a free rook. Wow. Free rook. Free rook, Chris. Chris, you had more time than your opponent. Maybe you'll see it this time. White still didn't see that. White left his rook hanging. Left his rook hanging. That's good. Yeah. Attack. King moves over. Nice quiet move. Just yep. He was low on time in this game, so he's going to be in trouble. That's probably why he missed it twice. But Black didn't have any issues. Did over a minute. White's going to lose on time, but good try, good game. Nice discovered attack by White. Wins back the piece. That was a really nice discovered attack. And there's our leaderboard. LLMP won the tournament, played 4 games, won every game. Congratulations. Murph came in second, even after leaving. Chris came in third. Excellent, Chris. Good job. Keith, no problem. Keith, you had the best discovered attack all tournament. So you had the best discovered attack all tournament. So Keith, even if you came in last, I'm proud of you. You had the best discovered attack all tournament. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. We will be back on Wednesday to go over some games. I will probably use this last game with Keith as an example for everybody that wasn't there. We will look at some other games. I will search out some discovered attacks. I actually like the game that LLMP played also because it did not work out well, his discovered attack. So I think it helps to see both sides, right? You see when the discovered attack works really well, like Keith got back a rook that way, and you see when it doesn't work well, when twice White had discovered attacks and got really nothing for it. All right, Wednesday, 11 o'clock. Hope to see you there. And then Friday, we have where I play the viewers, not where you guys just play each other. I play the viewers on Friday. I'm going to be looking at just randomly, seeing maybe when Modern Ancient is on. And since we both now have teams in Lichess, we might have a follower battle, right? Have viewers battle each other. Wouldn't be fair with followers. I have very few. He has a lot right now. He's doing really well, which I'm really proud of him. He did really well. All right. Any other questions for me, especially about discovered attack? You guys asked some really good questions tonight. If you have any questions about discovered attacks, by the way, feel free to message me at any time on Lichess at Tiberian. You can just use the communications tool there. Message me with any questions. If you have a game you want me to go over on Wednesday, feel free to share the game with me, especially right now. You know we're looking for discovered attacks. Just let me know. All right. Any questions? I'm loving it. You guys are talking. I'll let you talk. Well, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's funny because my competitive nature says, "Oh yeah, I want to get affiliate. I want to get hundreds of people." Yeah, but the reason I've been doing this is just because I want to teach. And actually, one of my students, a teenager, I think he's only 15 right now, he said, you should be streaming. He actually first started off by saying, I should be streaming. And then he said, well, you teach better than me. You're my teacher. Why don't you stream? And so I went through the trouble of figuring it out, getting online and streaming. But then, of course, the competitive side says, oh, man, I want more viewers. I want more followers. It'd be nice, but really, I'm happy if it's teaching even one person. If I help one person improve their chess and improve their love of the game, I'm a happy camper. I'm doing what I set out to do. All right, guys. Oh, you having bad quality? And was that the whole time or just now? I noticed it seemed choppy when I was watching myself. So hopefully it's just now, and I'll stop before it gets bad or worse. Hopefully it's been good the rest of the night. All right, we'll see you guys later. Let me know, Irv, if it was bad throughout or if it was just bad at the end. That will either depress me or make me feel okay. Remember what we're looking for is up here in the why did he do that? Am I developed? Is there free candy? Can we play Chase the Queen and King? But mostly right now we're working on Discover Check. Oh, good. Chess now. Then let me get out of here. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Let me just check real quick, or you guys can check. Is Modern Ancient on by any chance? If he is, I was going to at least host him. I think I can't raid, but I can host. And so I think it's automatic. I think it works automatically that it'll host him. I'm not 100% sure. All right. All right. Thanks for the games. Thanks for attending. See you guys later. Thanks for the support. Have a good one. Good night, guys.